What's up?
Got it now.
Hey, hold
First
on.
live, Dennis Kang live.
Phone. What's
You
up?
can stuff more. Yeah, so figured we
Awesome
could do.
card. Amazing card last night.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. Maybe we could just hit like a few of them. That way it doesn't take forever. Which ones do you want to hit?
Um, well, of course, the David fight, right? And then I liked Gavin Tucker, Canadian, and Cyril Gann. Three.
So those are the ones you want to talk about first, or no?
Sure. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. So why don't you just kind of break down some of those?
Um, well, the Davidson fight against Moreno, man. I kind of thought. I like Moreno from the beginning, but I knew he was a little green. You know what I mean? For a title fight, and for somebody like Davidson, right? And I mean, he did good. He's scrappy, but I mean, Davidson he's got so much momentum. A lot of people don't realize that in a title fight, if it's your first time fighting in a title fight, there's a lot more pressure in a title fight. Like, doesn't matter if you've done main events before, but if you've never done an actual title fight, it's very different. There's a lot more. Well, I mean, pressure, just everything. It's hard. And if you haven't felt that before, it can really affect your performance. And Figueroa already had that kind of psychological advantage going in. Kind of like basically an adult with a child. I'm not calling Moreno a child, but I'm just using that as an analogy to illustrate my point. But I mean, Moreno did good, man. It's a great experience for him. I never like seeing these young guys take that much damage because he got hit a lot. I always kind of cringe when I see that, but I mean, hey, he looked okay in the end. I thought he broke his arm too. The commentators were pointing out that he had a bump on his arm, and he did. And then every time he threw, he seemed to be popping it back in. So I thought maybe the forearm was broken. It turned out it wasn't. That's what he said, anyways. And yeah, that people were questioning Davidson's cardio and things like that, and he was making weight, you know, that fast. But I mean, he answered all the questions last night. He did really good, really, really well.
Yeah, but from a fight like that, maybe from your vantage point, a champion fighting, now he's shown, for the first time, maybe a little bit of vulnerability. What do you think about that?
Um, well, he should, but here's the thing: if he doesn't show vulnerability, people are going to say he's not fighting anybody. You know what I mean? So he's showing vulner. He should be showing vulnerability because he's fighting top competition, and he was in trouble a little bit, and he came back and he won. That is, if you're always killing the opponent, and there's a difference between a fight and like a domination. If you're completely dominating, it's good. Hey, especially if you've gotten better since your last fight. But if it's happening like that every time, then it's like, it's people get sick of it. You want to see a fight go back and forth, right?
Right.
Yeah, I think, yeah, he did show vulnerability, but good. He still came out on top. It would have been a difference if he would have shown vulnerability and he would have started to kind of to crack mentally a little. Like it happens to some people. They get so dominant, and then all of a sudden, they come upon an opponent that starts to stand up to them, and then they look like a deer in the headlights. And then they lose like that, right? Because they haven't felt that kind of strength in a long time. So no, props to him, man. He did good. He did good. And I think if it wasn't for that point deducted, I think he would have won. I mean, I didn't watch it's the end of the card. It's anyways. I watched from almost the beginning. Anyways, the entire card. The last fight, I was a little tired. I was kind of looking back and forth, playing on my phone. I wasn't glued to my TV constantly, right? Um, so I did look away a couple of times, but I watched about, I would say, 80% of the fight. Pretty, pretty attentively. And I thought he had it. He pushed him back a little bit. Moreno did have some moments, but it looked like Moreno, he had his moments. In like when he had his moments, it seemed like they were more because he was taking a shot and then giving it back, but not really with dominance. You know what I mean? It seemed like Davidson was a lot more dominating in his moments, right? If that makes any sense. So yeah,
Yeah, I mean, but as a champion, maybe some of the other fighters might look and say, "Oh, maybe I can do something against this guy that
for
maybe didn't think before."
for sure, right? I mean, if you got to think too. Anybody, unless you have that clear cut formula like Khabib, um, where he just takes you down and grinds you. Anybody else, where they're just kind of striking and doing a little bit of everything, there's going to be holes. So it's just how it is. And that division is deep. The more you fight, the more people analyze you and just kind of micro analyze your weaknesses and your little mistakes, right? So yeah.
Right.
Let's see. Yeah, he stepped
And
up.
if any of you guys have questions, you can kind of just type them in there if you have any questions about the card. We can talk about Oliveira Ferguson. I mean, Oliveira was dominant, you know.
You know what? Everybody said, "Oh man, Ferguson is going to take this," and I said Ferguson should take it if it depends on if he's the same after the Gaethje fight, right? Because this was his first fight since he fought Justin Gaethje, and he took quite a beating uh, from Gaethje, and that can leave you different, shop worn, as they say, just a little slower, maybe a little hesitant, right? It just saps the life of a fighter. And unfortunately, I think that is what happened to Ferguson. He wasn't the same, and it also coincided with Oliveira just starting to come into his own. I mean, he's. I remember watching not his first fight in UFC. I think it would have been his second and his third, where he got knee barred by I think Jim Miller. I don't know if you remember that fight.
Yeah, yeah.
I would think it was like 10 years ago, maybe. And thinking, okay, this kid's not bad. He's scrappy, but he's not that good either, right? And then he lost to Pettis, where he did. I was there live for that. It was in Vancouver. I was cage side, so I got a pretty, and he, again, a strong showing, but missing little ingredients to get him to the very end, But now, very different. He's matured. I think as an adult, as a person, you got to remember he started young, right? So there's a certain maturity that comes with getting older in fighting as well. And I think just his style, he's not just a jiu-jitsu guy anymore. His striking has gotten better, and he had Ferguson's number, man. Like, taking him down, just everything. Usually Ferguson just does not stop, and even though he sometimes takes a beating and gets taken down or gets cut, he usually just grinds it out and comes back, and that's what he was good at before, but he couldn't do it. He couldn't do it last night. And also, like, that's why guys like GSP and even Adesanya, they don't take that much damage. So it's a style that lends itself to more longevity. And Ferguson's style, it's not a long-lived style. I mean, you get by on being able to take damage and then come back. Eventually, your chin, you only have so much chin to give. Phil Baroni told me a long time ago, he said, yeah, you can lose your chin the more you get hit. And it was completely right. You do lose your chin the more you get hit, even if you don't get knocked out every time. Your ability to take a solid hit does diminish over time.
I mean, Oliveira's always been like a really good grappler, though. Were you surprised at how dominant he was in that part of the fight?
Um, yes and no. I mean, he comes from the land of jiu-jitsu, right? And he has that really kind of skinny, lanky, sticky style, with those hooks and those feet that just kind of grab you and climb all over you. I knew he was a good grappler, man. But what impressed me actually more was the takedowns, the way he took down Tony Ferguson, like those body locks and those trips. Wow, man. Really good, really good. You know, and then that armbar at the end of the round on Ferguson was incredible. You know, in the replay, you can hear him wincing in pain. You know, he's going when his arm is fully extended. You know, and he's trying to escape. So, I mean, he showed a lot of heart, Ferguson. You know, that's one thing that did not diminish is his heart and his will to win. The guy is still an absolute warrior. You know, he definitely did not lose anybody's respect. You know, but hey, there's always a passing of the torch. You know, and the old guard has to make room for the new guard, man. It's inevitable.
Yeah, there's a couple of people here saying kind of the same thing you did. They didn't think Tony is going to recover ever.
No,
Where does
that's
he go from here, you think?
hard. It's hard on the body. You know, it. Some people can, I guess, maybe, but it's rare. You know, it's we're all human after all. Some people are more human than others, or tougher than others, but eventually it always catches up. You know. So
But do you think he recovers in his career or no?
Ferguson.
Yeah.
So I think two tough losses like that. First of all, let me backtrack a little bit and say that if I don't know if Tony manages himself, you know, but after that tough of a fight, one of my students and fighters, Nick Gainey, made the good point of saying that he should not have been fighting somebody that tough right away. You know, he should have been given a little bit of a easier fight to kind of get back on track. So that's why I'm saying I don't know if it was his management's decision, if it was Tony's decision, or if it was a UFC. You know, UFC usually, you know, for if you're a fighter that's been fighting for a long time, usually takes care of their fighters. You know, they'll kind of give them a little bit of an easier fight. So it was probably Tony. I can see Tony just having, you know, a little bit, you know, just so much heart that he wants the best right away. You know, and he is probably also difficult to find fights for. He's difficult to match up. Not a lot of people want to fight a guy like that. Although now I think people are going to be lining up to find him because he's a big name and he's been more, you know, very vulnerable. But after the Gaethje fight, he still had a little bit of that mystique, you know. So yeah, I don't know, man. If I was his manager, or if I was Tony, I would have taken a little bit of a more of a tune-up fight. You know, that was a very hard fight after that you know, fighting Gaethje and losing like that.
Mhm. What do you think about Dern? That was the fight before that.
Yeah, Mackenzie Dern, she's tough, man. She's tough. I gotta mention, man, my coach, my jiu-jitsu master, Marcus Suarez, in the late '90s, Megaton, her father, used to come to Vancouver, had representatives in Vancouver, and we had a huge rivalry between our team, Marcus Suarez Jiu-Jitsu, Carlson Gracie, and his team, and it was all love though. It was all fun, you know. It's over with now. It was a long time ago, but it was cool to see Megaton with his daughter, and you know, because that guy's a G, that guy's a old school black belt, a legend in the BJJ circles, you know. So that was cool. Anyways, Mackenzie Dern, I mean, her striking did improve, but I don't know. It was a tough fight, man. That girl was there to fight as well, you know.
Yeah, it almost seems like the Brazilians are a little bit ahead of most of the women fighters. Maybe in numbers. They seem a little more skilled, almost like when the sport was beginning for men.
Maybe,
It kind of seems like that for women now, like the
yeah,
Brazilian fighters, most of them
tough.
are pretty good, you
Yeah,
know.
yeah. They're yeah. I don't know what it is, but yeah, you're right. I never looked at it that way, but
You can see kind of a separation between them and most, there's individuals, but I'm just saying kind of as a numbers thing.
there seem to be a little bit more, you know, Brazilian female fighters. Yeah, I don't know what it is. Maybe it's that toxoplasm that Joe Rogan talks about. You know, it makes the men and women hypersexualized and hyper aggressive and violent. So it gives you a higher propensity for fighting. Maybe, I don't know.
I don't know what
I'm
did you say Joe Rogan was talking about? I don't know what that is. What
Jerry.
did he say?
Huh?
What did he say? And what was it that
Yeah.
Rogan was talking about?
Hold on. So apparently, the legend goes that in Brazil, there's not in Brazil, in certain parts of the world, but one of them being Brazil, there's So hold on. So I don't remember. I might get some of this wrong. In the water or in the rats, there's a kind of like toxoplasm, like a kind of germ or virus or something. I might even be getting the word wrong. It might not even be toxoplasm, protoplasm. I don't know. And oh my God, I got to repeat it now. What is it? I think so. It's in the rats. The cats eat the rats, and then the cats shit in the water, and it gets into people, or it's one of those like cycle viruses. You know what I mean? So,
Right.
God, someone would have to come on here and correct me, but yeah, if you Google search it on YouTube on
Right.
old Joe Rogan episodes, you'll find it. He talks about it. And anyways, what that virus does, or it's the worm, or it's a parasite actually. That's what it is. It's a parasite. What that parasite does is it makes you super aggressive and super sexual, so that the parasite can get passed on through fluid transmission, right?
Mm.
So
Interesting.
apparently it makes the people super aggressive as well. Brazil is the land of, you know,
Yeah.
fires, be it, from both sides. So
Right. That's a good point, man.
who
What
knows?
about Holland and Sousa? That was kind of a weird ending. You don't see that a lot.
Oh man, yeah, Holland is good. Oh, that kid is something else, man. Wow. And to be that confident and that cocky, and then fighting, punching. It's funny because just this week, I coach fighters, and I do train some MMA guys, and one of them was trying to punch off his back like that, and I go, no, do not do that. It's dangerous. You're kind of energy. You can elbow off your back, but don't punch like that, because I don't think it's that good of a move, but apparently it can be sometimes. Because Buddy did it last night, and yeah, Jacare is no slouch, even though Jacare is, kind of at the end of the career, and but man, that kid Holland he's going to be tough to beat. So, and especially because he's so tall, so big.
Now, I wanted to ask you about something. I mean, we talked about just a few of the fights. If you want to talk about any of the others, we can. But I wanted to ask you about this because, someone asked me to ask you this actually. And they're saying, like Khabib bought this promotion. I don't know if you heard about that.
I heard, yeah.
And he wants to get it on Fight Pass. So what his theory was that Dana White's going to force him to fight Conor if he beats Dustin Poirier in order to get his event like on this Fight Pass. Or I don't know. What do you think about all that?
I didn't. I mean, I don't know, dude. He's gonna fade. Well,
No,
no,
well, they're having a meeting, and he assumes that it's going to be, we'll put your event on Fight Pass if you agree to fight Conor if he's to win if he beats Poirier.
bit of a dirty move by Dana. He's kind of mixing things. Two different. Yeah, I don't know how I feel about that. I don't think I like that, man. That's first of all, I don't want to see Khabib and Conor again, to be honest.
Really?
Not really. I mean, Khabib will beat him again. It's Conor, a really good striker, and a really good at selling the fight, but he's not a grappler or a wrestler. And
Right.
he's not, you know. So his style, relies purely on reflexes and eyesight, and like those attributes that really need to be functioning at 100%, when you're fresh, right? And that power, and it goes downhill the longer the fight goes, and Khabib is just going to take him down again, I think, right?
Yeah, and it seems like he wants to fight GSP more than
Khabib, that would
fight
be
Conor again.
a good fight, but GSP is a friend of mine, and I didn't want him to fight Bisping. I was like, dude, why are you doing this? And I don't think he should fight Khabib either. But I don't know, man. GSP is that guy. That's a whole other level right there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
what I was telling this guy is, look, I think GSP Khabib is bigger than Conor Khabib.
Yeah.
And what advantage would it be for Dana to get Conor beat again?
True. It's true. Imagine GSP Connor. Actually, no, that would be. I think GSP would just take him down. It'd be shitty. Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, as far as the marketing, that maybe the best of this era versus the best of the previous era.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
think it would be a pretty big, easy fight
yeah.
to promote in that regard.
Fighter besides GSP could, he's like, I guess it's usually him because he's the one that stays in shape the most, and I don't know if you follow him. I'm sure you do follow him on social media. I mean, the guy's in phenomenal shape still. You could tell, right? So I don't know who else, what other ex champion. I know Mike couldn't do it. I don't think obviously Anderson Silva could not do it. Yeah, it's tough, man. There's really nobody else but GSP if you want to make that kind of matchup.
Yeah, I mean, it's the fight Dana wants is to make Khabib Conor again, obviously. Do you think he beats Poirier?
Connor
Yeah.
in a rematch? I don't know, man. I don't think so. I think it's going to be a little tougher. I think the first fight, Poirier was, and I love Poirier, man. He's from my old team ATT, man. Like I love those guys. I think in the first fight he was a little overwhelmed, and he let. This was when Connor was still getting in people's heads. Like nobody had really. Now everybody's seen that. He's done it to everybody, right? Uh, People know his game, but back then people still didn't know it that well, so people didn't know how to react. I think in the fight, he was making Poirier kind of react a little too fast, or just be a little bit off his game. I think in a rematch, Poirier's been doing good lately. It's going to be different, especially since Conor now has looked vulnerable. He has been beaten. He's shown his flaws in the Diaz fights, in the Mayweather fight, in the Khabib fight. I think it's going to be it takes a little of the pressure off of Dustin's shoulder. But let's see.
Yeah,
I,
since you mentioned Mayweather, like, what do you? I know I asked you about this offline, but now that you've had some time to think about it, what do you think about these
Paul
the Paul brother fights against these people like Mayweather and you know?
Mayweather play with him. I mean, it's I
No,
don't
but
know.
I think what do you think about it in general? Like we know Mayweather's going to beat him, that's a given.
Yeah.
But
Well,
this stuff happening.
yeah, just I'm just happy that it's something that's fighting or MMA related, whether it's real or not, whether it's an exhibition, it's still fighting related and brings more attention to our sport, or our kind of niche market as a whole, and it's good for the market, uh, no matter how you look at it. It's good.
Yeah, because I talked to Angel Manfredi today. You remember Angel Manfredi?
Oh, of course, man. You're going
Yeah,
big.
and I did a show with him today, over the phone, and he was saying, I don't know who Logan Paul is. Why is Mayweather fighting this guy? Like
No,
he didn't
Jake
even know who he was.
Paul that he's fighting, right?
Yeah, he's fighting Logan Paul, not Jake Paul. He's fighting the other Paul.
Guy just fought.
Jake Paul just fought against Nate Robinson, but Logan Paul fought against some other YouTuber a while back, and I don't know if
Right.
he
Fought,
lost.
KSI or something.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I don't know who that is either. I'm surprised I remember. Wow. Anyways, I don't know, man. This is not a. This is a. People at this point, people are just paying to see Mayweather. That's it. They don't even care about the fight. It's not like, yeah, it's just gonna be the Mayweather show. It's more of a circus than anything, right?
Yeah, I wonder if more guys are going to do that because I know like Gervonta Davis was saying he wanted to get on the undercard, and
Yeah. Well,
it's some of these guys probably would look at it as an opportunity to just.
so hold on. So first of all, the Mayweather fight against Logan Paul, is that exhibition or a real fight?
They're saying it's an exhibition, but his fight against Nasukawa was an exhibition, and he took him out quick.
His fight against who?
Tenshin Nasukawa in Japan.
Oh, yeah, yeah. I think that the more I watch that, the more I think that looks kind of fake.
You do? Really?
Yeah. At first, I was sure.
I've heard people say it. Yeah. Could have
Just
been.
huh?
Yeah, I mean, it could have been. I mean, I've heard people say it.
Yeah. And for a fight to, I fought in Japan for a long time, and I heard that from my old manager Phyllis Lee. I don't know if you know who she is.
Yeah.
Was an old like pro wrestling and MMA manager for Dan Severn, Nate Marquardt, myself,
Right.
tons of guys. She said when the fight is worked, only one of the fighters needs to be aware of it.
That
Right?
is. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Tension was aware of it. Mayweather doesn't even know. Well, he probably has his doubts, but he has to maintain face, right? And that's what she told me. And she also said sometimes none of the fighters are aware that it's work. Sometimes it's only the referee, right? When the fight is stopped too early, or things like that. So there's ways of fixing fights, but
Yeah, I'm just kind of wondering, like, with boxing not being able to give people the fights they want, if you'll see more and more of this stuff.
well, it's starting to change though. I think like we saw with like Lopez and what's his name, Lomachenko. Now
Yeah, right, right.
harder now. It's good. Same with the what's his name, the uh the other guy who just won, really good. The vet,
Crawford?
huh? Crawford. Yeah,
Yeah,
he fought Kell Brooks. Yeah,
right.
right. Guys, the boxers are going for the finish, and they're fighting more top contenders because it wasn't happening before. It was ridiculous. Like you knew who was going to win or who was going to lose, and it was probably going to be by decision. And it was always the favorite. It was just ridiculous. Now they're fighting top contenders because they have to look. It's just the way it is. It has to be real now. So
Right.
yeah,
I don't know. I wonder, like when I see Gervonta Davis saying he wants to get on the undercard of the show, I'm just like, it's
yeah,
like they see that how easy these fights are that Mayweather can get, and they're just like, well, I'll just go fight so and so for
yeah.
millions of dollars. I don't need to, train to beat these guys, probably,
I
you know.
don't know who Gervonta Davis will fight because I mean you know, he's like Mayweather's got the name and he hasn't been fighting. Like Gervonta Davis has been fighting and winning, and he's active and like current, up to date. So
Yeah.
he'd be unless he fights a real fighter. That would be cool if they mixed up the card like that. But yeah, I don't know. Who knows?
Yeah, and if you guys have any questions for Dennis about the card or anything, you can just put them here. I don't know what else you want to talk about. We talked about some of these fights, and I know you don't have a lot of time.
That
That you saw her.
the French guy, that guy, that was it's always more impressive when I see heavyweights move like that. It because I mean you got to understand most guys, the bigger you are, the harder it is to move and be agile and coordinated. I mean gravity works against you. That's why the dinosaurs died, right, or starved out because they were too big. Or apparently it was the Big Bang or the meteor. I don't know. Who knows? I don't know, but
Right.
or
The
steroids.
ice age or whatever.
But I'm getting off topic now. But the bigger you are, the harder it is to move. So I'm always impressed when you see a guy that big like Cyril Gann move that smoothly and that efficiently. He was making Junior Dos Santos look small. He had perfect control of the distance and range. Especially with those front kicks, those teep kicks. Those are hard to do, man, in MMA. That's an easy kick to counter and catch, and he was doing it really well. You know. And then to finish him like that, or in the first, I think it was in the second round that he
Yeah,
finished.
second round.
Yeah, that was impressive. That was impressive. He's good. Has he lost yet? Cyril Gann?
I don't know, but Junior Dos Santos, it's kind of like a Jacare, right? You got two guys that are kind of maybe on the downside.
Exactly. Yeah, he's a little past his prime for sure. So that's tough, man. It's tough. Passing of the torch, I guess. Again, right?
Yeah.
But it happened. I remember a long time ago, for an event called Bodog. So I was in Costa Rica for Bodog, and I was rolling with Josh Barnett. And it was, everybody in jiu-jitsu says, oh, size doesn't matter. It's all about technique, blah, blah, blah. Well, no, when you got a real heavyweight, like I'm talking like a real heavyweight, was like over 6'2", 6'3", with that kind of size, like 240, 250, and knows how to move, the laws of physics do not apply. The jiu-jitsu rules do not work on a real heavyweight, especially when they know what they're doing. I mean, I remember trying to put Josh Barnett in an ankle lock, like an Achilles lock, almost like a guillotine on the leg. I don't know if you know what that is.
Yeah.
And I almost taught myself out because his shin was so hard and thick. I almost broke my own forearm. It's different, man. You have to train with the heavyweights to see how different it is. How much bigger and faster they are. when I trained with Bigfoot Silva at ATT. They locked me in a cage with him to do a couple of rounds of sparring, and I mean, he was cutting off the cage. I was cornered in a circular cage, if you can believe that, right? So it's something that you have to experience to really believe. So that's why when I see guys like Cyril Gann move like that, it's even more impressive. I mean, I think the guy can go far, man. It seems like they're trying to build him up nice. He had some problems with his visas coming in, but I think the guy can be a contender for sure.
So what's the next big fight the UFC's having? I know we talked about McGregor and Poirier, but
Um, what's the next big one?
how do you think Poirier fights McGregor differently this time? Let's kind of just talk about that more.
How do I think? I think Poirier just tries to. I don't know, actually. He's
Because you
I,
said he was reacting a lot the first time. You think he'll
yeah.
kind of
That was him being nervous. You know what I mean? So uh, who knows? I think maybe just play him a little bit more on the inside in the clinch. Try to take him down. Try to make the fight wear out for sure. We all know. McGregor was best in the first round, and he gets a little worse and worse as the fight go on. Right. So definitely play loose and distance in the first round, and then after that, just I would do like. Do you remember when GSP fought BJ Penn? He said, I wanted to make his shoulders tired and put him in a wrestling match. Well, one of the greatest strategies ever, similar to the rope-a-dope when Muhammad Ali fought Foreman. Well, I think that would work well for Poirier. Is tie up Connor and put him in a type of wrestling or grappling match, just to kind of make his shoulders tired and arms heavy, and then you know kind of pick him apart as the fight goes on. Easier said than done, of course, but I think that would be smart.
Yeah, Jesse, we talked about your topic a little earlier about, Khabib and Conor fighting again, and Dennis didn't want to see it, honestly.
Anybody else on right now?
Huh?
Is there other people on right now watching?
Yeah, there's people just coming and going, but yeah, Jesse was one of the guys that was asking about that, like
Okay.
that was kind of his question.
Which one?
He was asking about the Khabib and Conor. He thinks it's inevitable they're going to fight again, but you
Really?
kind of don't.
Why? Why though? Like it's not like Connor is not really. He beat Cerrone, but there's other people in the rankings. It's a fight. I get it in terms of like a cool fight of superstars. It's the fight to make, but you have to respect the rankings. Like who else do we have at that weight class? So there's Gaethje. Let's see if he comes back. Right there.
Right.
Who else is there? Well,
Uh,
there's Charles the Bronx, right?
yeah, right. He's going to have an argument for sure.
Yeah, for sure. There's other.
He's saying it's just the fight Dana wants, and that's all that will matter in the end.
Yeah, yeah. Who knows? Who knows? Maybe. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what they'll do. I mean, I heard UFC is getting into boxing. Maybe they'll make it into a boxing match, or they'll. Have you heard of that?
I mean, to me, it's like if you make the fight, like you said, Khabib's going to beat Conor again.
Yeah.
And I don't see how that's advantageous for the UFC. Maybe it is, I don't know. But I'd rather milk Conor out for a few more fights rather than getting him beat by Khabib if he
Yeah,
gets past Poirier.
it's
What
true.
if there was somebody else he can beat? You know? I don't know. Yeah.
Con- Connor against Justin Gaethje would be good.
Yeah, that would be a fun fight for sure. They both
Yeah, because
wailed on each other.
most people that are I want to fight with strategy would try to take Connor down, but Gaethje doesn't care. He just wants to scrap, right? So that would be a really good fight again for Connor. I think that would be really good, and he's coming off that loss, so that is something Connor, because Connor always picks his. Connor never fights anybody that's really on top now. I don't think he wants fights that are winnable. I think so. I mean, he doesn't have that much left to prove either. So, but still, I think,
Right, but let's say he beat Poirier.
yeah,
Like Jesse's saying, it sells and that's all that matters. Yeah, but if you get him beat his first time out
yeah,
after beating Poirier, what do you do with Connor after that?
yeah.
That's the way I look at it. I'd
What
rather see Khabib GSP, and then you could do something with Connor. I mean, no one's going to care if he doesn't fight Khabib again.
I
Yeah,
guess you could take Connor and Oliveira, but yeah, I think Oliveira would give anybody who
yeah.
has decent grappling and striking. And you know what? There's the whole Brazil versus Ireland angle, right? Because Connor kind of embarrassed Brazil because he called out Aldo so bad, and was making comments about Brazil and stuff like that. So I think that would be good, Brazil versus Ireland again.
Oh, I think Oliveira would beat Connor too. He's too good on the ground.
Yeah,
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 I do.
yeah.
Yeah,
But
but we aren't as high on Connor as other people. Maybe most typical fans are really high on Connor and think he can beat a lot of people. Like he's saying Khabib's the only one can take Connor down. I think Oliveira can take him down.
yeah, I don't know. I think Oliveira could take him down, especially as the fight goes on.
Yeah.
Um,
Because you made a good point. All his strengths are reactionary, his
yeah,
ability, his
yeah,
timing, and all these, and these are all things that go down as the fight goes on.
you know. So he's very good in the first round. He's good in the second. He's not bad in the third. you know? So who knows, man? Like we'll see. Like the blueprint is there to beat Connor, right? So and he knows that as well. So
How do you think? How do you think he'll look sharper against Poirier? Because you think Poirier is going to beat him or no?
I think Poirier will have a. Here's the thing. I don't think it was really 100% Poirier when he fought him, just because Connor was so in his head, right? So I think I even think and like I would never call Poirier a quitter, but I think he was kind when he took that punch to the back of the head, it almost looked like it was a glancing blow. I don't know if he could have fought on a little more. It looked like maybe he was just kind of I don't know. I think he'll have more hunger and more just more drive to win in a rematch. And yeah, I don't think he'll let Connor get in his head like that.
My only concern with Poirier is he always gets in these firefights.
He does, but he can do it, man. We saw against Hooker, man. Like
Yeah, I mean,
that was unreal.
so that's kind of my concern going in the fight with McGregor is getting another firefight. Can he
Well, and
take shots?
if it becomes a firefight like that, going both ways, I think that's good for both of them, right? It's it's like if Connor starts sniping him, because Connor's really good at a distance and making you miss and then punishing you. So I don't know if he'll be able to do that with the Poirier. You know, uh, I don't know Poirier. He's with a good team now. He's with a good coach, who's a good friend of mine, Dia Davis, the son of one of my old boxing coach, Howard Davis Jr. He's done a really good job with him. I don't think he would kind of fall for Connor's tricks, because we've seen more of Connor. You got to remember, Connor was still a bit of an enigma at the time, right? Nobody had seen that good of counterpunching, right? Uh, and I love Connor's style. Like I use him as an example all the time when I'm trying to explain, the nuances of counterpunching to my fighters, right? He does certain things really, really well that a lot of people do not or can't do, but it's a style that can be beat, if you know how to do it. That counter punching style, right? You got to feint him out of position. You got to tie him up and get in close, right? You just can't sit on the outside and play pot shot or shot for shot. You can't play chicken with him, kind of thing.
Is this a 55 or 45? I don't even know. I feel like
Connor,
from knowing.
I think, right?
Jesse keeps bringing up the fact that he never lost at 45. Is the fight at 45 or something?
This would be at 55, I think. Yeah, at 45 was. I don't think he can make 45 anymore. You're right. He never lost at 45. But he was if he fought now at 45, I think he would lose because it's harder for him to make that weight. In my opinion, it was really hard before, right? That's why his cardio was so bad, right? So, and I think he still has kind of shitty cardio, but it was worse before, you know. So
Yeah, I mean it makes sense. It's going to be interesting to see because to me, like I'm kind of like you. I feel like McGregor's kind of. I mean, he's good, but beatable. You know.
but you know what? I don't care if he wins or lose. I will watch his fight
Oh
every
yeah, for sure.
man. He is, and anybody he fights will benefit. It's a red panty night, man. Like you know, baby, we done it. Break out the red panties. You know,
Yeah.
he's good for the sport for sure. So I don't know, and it would be. I would like to see Poirier get a good fight against them. It'd be nice, you know. So
Yes, really, he didn't fight a lot of guys that matched up against him well. I mean, he fought Chad Mendez, who's a good wrestler. He had a
yeah,
tough fight with Mendez for a while. You know, Mendez was
yeah, but
much
he took
smaller than him.
short notice, right? He was a replacement. You're talking about Connor, right?
Yeah, 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 yeah,
Chad Mendez was a replacement.
yeah,
I don't know if you remember, because he came in, but still, again, he got in his head, right? At that time, people were not used to people talking shit like that. Now everybody's trying to talk shit like Connor, right? So, you know, I remember Michael Bisping was one of the first kind of cocky, arrogant fighters. And when he was fighting Dan Henderson, he was saying, I think I'm going to beat Dan Henderson. And
yeah,
interviewers they were surprised. They're like, wow, you think you can beat him? Like, and he's like, well, yeah, like, I'm not going to say that I think I'm going to lose. You know, it was just kind of stupid. There was like, kind of a culture of not talking shit about 10, 15 years ago,
yeah,
right? I'm
yeah,
now we can be a little more honest, but now it's going in the other direction as people are trying too hard to talk shit now and be like Connor. You know, it's happening everywhere at all levels of the sport. So whatever.
yeah. I mean, I remember what you're talking about. I mean, it was nobody did that stuff back in the day because it was just frowned upon.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. But yeah, so I think that's what happened. I think he got into everybody's head back then, and he did an awesome move, man. Like you know, to kind of he did the Muhammad Ali trick, basically, right? Just kind of fuck with you mentally so bad that it throws you off your game and make you react or attack like a tad early or off, and then it throws you off, and that's how he gets you, you know. But now it's a little different. People know his tricks now, right? No
yeah.
people that much.
What's up, Iwasaki? This is a guy I know from Japan. He doesn't speak a lot of English, but
日本人ですか
yeah, yeah.
どうお話します。はい。
He's known as like the Guillotine King in Japan. You know, like he's one of the great guillotine guys. You'll have to check him out. Iwasaki, Guillotine Master. I don't know if you can see the comments there, but he's kind of talking there.
Just
And some of your guys are here too, like Mangi
oh,
Gunor.
no more. Yeah.
Yeah. So if you guys have any questions, you guys can, if you guys want to ask something directly to Dennis, that's kind of why I did this, but I know we kind of took it over with stuff we were talking about, but if you guys want to get some questions in quickly. I know you don't have a lot of time, but
Yeah, I
I,
gotta. Oh, what time is it? Yeah, I got about 5 minutes, so it's all
or,
good.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we can kind of wrap it up. I mean, I know we're kind of talking about, is there anything you want to kind of touch on or?
No, that's it, man. We got to do this again. You know. Um,
Yeah, you should do them, man. It gets kind of like,
I could talk MMA forever, man. I love it. You know.
yeah,
So
you
you
should do some lives, man. I think you'd like it. Okay, he's asking, what do you think about Costa versus Whitaker?
know, Costa versus Whitaker. Oh, Paulo Costa.
Yeah, yeah, Paulo Costa.
See, I'm not that impressed with Paulo Costa. Paulo Costa, um, you know, he's got short arms. He hits kind of hard on the inside. He does those hooks, you know, and he's fit. He's big. He's got okay jujitsu. You know, people think he's better than he is just because he's Brazilian, but I don't think his jujitsu is his strong point. You know, um, and he's a bit, you know, he uses a little bit of. He's more athletic. He's more athletic and tough than skill. You know, I think Whitaker would beat him. You know, I don't think it would be that hard for him. for Whitaker to beat him, in my opinion, unless Costa makes a huge change to his approach and his fighting style. But
Mangy's saying, "Hey, coach, remember I tapped you out that one time?"
don't tell anybody, Ganor. Come on,
Got
that's
you.
my Ganor.
We had already talked about this. Someone's asking, do we think that Oliveira should fight the Conor Poirier winner? We say yes, but it
Yeah,
probably won't happen. But yeah, we do think. I think you and me both felt that
the
should
which
happen. But
fight?
Oliveira fighting the Conor Poirier winner.
Yeah, that would be good, man. That would be good. Yeah, I think, and you know what? I want. Does anybody know what Oliveira's nickname means? It means from the Bronx, but what's it from? And I think it's a really cool nickname, by the way, the Bronx. It just comes off nice, But like, how did he get that nickname? I'm almost curious about
I
people who,
don't know, man. Maybe someone should ask.
yeah, somebody ask him.
That'd be a good question to ask in an interview, I suppose. I don't know if anyone's ever asked him.
I don't think he's from the Bronx or he's ever been there. So,
Okay, Mangy. So we talked about Ferguson earlier. He's saying, should Ferguson retire? We didn't say he should retire, but we didn't think he was going to get back to the point he was at either.
no, I think he's done. I think he's done all he can do, man. Ferguson. It's especially with the damage he's taken. It's and he's we know he's had some some dark times in the past, and getting hit can only make that a little even darker. So
Okay, here's my kind of question. We like to talk about technique. He's saying, okay, Oliveira hit the arm lock. Why did his arm not break?
well, I don't know. He's just flexible. Arm bars are weird, man. Some guys are more flexible. Some guys are stiffer. Uh, yeah, he was bridging. He was trying to get out of it. It's a little tough. I was surprised too, especially when he put it in the armpit, which adds a lot of pressure and makes it way tighter. But arm bars are hit or miss. They're different than other submissions. They're not as I don't know, man. It's just the way it is. Sometimes it's not stitched on properly.
Yeah.
Sometimes the more flexible arms. It's just how it is, right?
Yeah, it looked like he had every part of it that you needed to have correct. He had.
It's also
Wasn't
you
breaking.
think like somebody that's that tough, like Tony Ferguson, he will sacrifice a broken arm. It's different than like a heel hook. Like I don't know if you've ever been put in a heel hook or an inside heel hook. Like it is not only does it kind of hurt. Actually, it hurts a lot when it breaks, but it kind of hurts before it breaks. But it's like there's like a cringy feeling, when you look at something and you're like, oh, like when you're put in a heel hook, it's you feel all super delicate all of a sudden, right? In the armbar, it doesn't happen. You're caught in the armbar. It's like I've been caught in an armbar in a match for like when I fought in a grappling match when I was a blue belt, and I didn't tap for like I think like a minute, and my arm gets stretching, and finally I tapped because I couldn't get out of it. But it's not the same as other submissions or chokes where you go out. Like if you would have choked, you
I'm
would have.
sorry. So Jesse just said he Googled your question, so I wanted to get this in before he left. He was saying that Oliveira lived in a favela in Brazil, and sometimes they kind of playfully call the favelas the Bronx.
Ah,
And the gym where he first started in Brazil was also called the Bronx.
okay.
So there's your answer.
I
Thank
like it.
you, Jesse. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I appreciate coming on, and maybe you can do some of these on your own and answer people's questions because it's like people are just jumping on now, but
Really?
do some lives. People could just bang
Yeah,
out questions to you or whatever.
yeah. I would like that, man. Maybe I will.
Yeah, I'll tell you how to do it. So
You on as a guest? How's that?
yeah, Jesse, you should have Dennis on, man. Jesse's kind of a character, so he has kind of his own stuff going.
Oh yeah. Okay.
He's more of a commentator, I would say, but he just interviewed uh the guy from John Gotti family. What was his name?
Oh,
The hitman who testified against John Gotti.
John A. Light?
No,
He the Bull.
Sammy the Bull. Yeah, he just
But
interviewed Sammy the Bull. So
guys are making the rounds now. All the old time gangsters are on all the YouTube channels getting interviewed.
Yeah, he's starting his own podcast, Sammy the Bull, so that'll be interesting.
Yeah, and his own YouTube channel too. He does and he just tells stories about whacking this guy, or it's really cool, man. It's awesome stories about like the old mob days in the 80s and 70s.
Yeah, so maybe Jesse, you should try to get Dennis on, do some of this stuff. But
Bro,
it's kind of addicting, man. You jump on here and people can kind of just. He's saying Aldo should retire, Manji. I think everybody thinks that probably at this point.
Aldo?
Yeah.
Yeah, Aldo should just, you know, maybe just take easier fights off his name in other promotions and then, make some money and that's it. I'm sure in Brazil he can get like maybe some kind of commentating gig or something like that. He
Yeah.
doesn't fight anymore. Poor guy, man.
It happens to everybody. I mean, he made his mark already, so.
Man, the guy was such a dominant force with that style and that low kick. Like, man, since the WEC days. So,
Yeah.
he's got nothing left to prove for sure. But yeah, I gotta go, man.
Yeah, appreciate it.
Come on, brother.
Take care. It was fun.
Came on. Follow my Instagram, follow my Twitter, follow my TikTok. Message me. I answer all DMs. Come train with me.
And
Just
we'll get him to do some lives. We'll get Dennis to do lives for real.
for sure, man.
All right, man. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Take care.